the Jesus way.
Oh, the Jesus way
Is the way of peace.
is the way of peace.
Oh, the Jesus way.
Oh, the Jesus way
Is the way of peace.
is the way of peace.
Oh, the Jesus way is the way of peace. When he is king, all wars will cease. May his peace begin with me.
My name is Brent Carlson. I'm your host today for Brethren Voices. We're interviewing a group of Brethren volunteer service workers who are in the 291st Orientation for Brethren Volunteer Services in Portland, Oregon. And I'm going to ask Sarah Hall to speak about her experiences and the group's experiences and what their orientation is all about. Sarah, welcome to Brethren Voices.
Thanks very much. First, I think we should highlight the history of Brethren Volunteer Service. It began at an annual conference, which is the Church of the Brethren's annual meeting, in 1947 with a group of young adults who really felt there needed to be some way for them to channel their passion for social justice and their passion for helping others instead of going to war. Since this was right after World War II, we did have a group known as Civilian Public Service, and they did conscientious objection work during, I believe, World War I and World War II. But they wanted something a little bit more permanent. And so Brethren Volunteer Service started with a query at annual conference, and then in 1947, and then in 1948, it was born. And we are the 291st unit of volunteers, so far tied at 31 volunteers with the 2007 unit, and we're the largest, one of the largest units. We spent 2 weeks at Camp Myrtlewood in Southern Oregon for part of our orientation, and we're spending our last week here in Portland, working in the community and meeting with different community leaders and having different sessions on social justice and culture and homesickness and trying to pay attention and spirituality and just all those things that we need to know for our time of service.
What I understand is you've been learning to work together, but you're also going to be mostly sent individually.
Yes, yes. Many of us will be sent throughout the continental United States to Texas, Maryland, North Carolina, and then others of us will be sent overseas. I myself am going to El Salvador. There's another member who will be going to Guatemala, and then we have 4 or 5, I believe, who are going to Northern Ireland and Europe.
Wonderful. And the whole training is 3
weeks.
And 2 weeks was kind of in a camp setting?
Yes, no cell phones, no internet, just completely
no TV.
Isolated, no television. And I know there were some folks who were wishing that there was internet. But I think for a lot of us it was really a blessing to not be distracted by technology and to really be able to focus on building a community together as a unit and learning about different things that we'll be facing while we're at our projects.
Wonderful. And so why come to Portland? Because you've gone from a rural, remote location to an urban setting. What's behind that?
That's a really good question. We started in a rural setting to be able to get to know each other, and then we've moved to Portland to focus on some of the different urban issues. Homelessness, which for some of us, we've grown up in rural areas, and so we don't necessarily deal with that, but they're trying to give us a well-rounded experience so that we have some idea of what to expect at our different projects. Many projects are urban, in Washington, D.C., or different parts of Europe.
And there's several staff that are putting on the training?
Yes, we have 4 staff members. One is actually a BVS volunteer. He works in the offices in Elgin, Illinois. And then we have an orientation coordinator and a community living, I wouldn't say, well, maybe expert. And then another current BVSer who is helping out as well.
Did you pick El Salvador or did they pick you?
That's a really good question. I chose El Salvador. It doesn't always work that way. Most of the time when you come to orientation, you don't necessarily know where you'll go. You get to choose a list of different projects that you're interested in, but generally you don't choose one specific project. But I've had some experience in El Salvador through the Manchester Church of the Brethren in Indiana, where I went to college, and they have a sister parish relationship with a church in El Salvador. So I had gone a year ago as an election observer, and then just went a few months ago for a commemorative week for the assassination of Archbishop Romero. And 3 days afterwards, I called Dan McFadden and I said, okay, look, you've been on my case to do BVS for how many years, and now I'd really like to do it, but I really think that this particular church would be a good fit for me and for BVS down the road, to be able to send volunteers to them.
Oh, are you going to be the first volunteer in this one setting?
Yes.
Oh.
So I don't have any shoes to fill yet, but I'm still a little bit nervous about it, but I think it'll be a good fit.
I understand you speak Spanish. Was that required, or does it just happen?
It is a requirement. For those who would like to go to Latin America, they require Spanish proficiency, some prior experience in Latin America. Most of those who apply to go to Latin America have had some sort of study abroad experience in Central or South America or Mexico. I did not. I've had just short-term experiences, but at this point in my life, short of just leaving and living in Central America, I'm not sure that I would really get that experience. So I chose BVS for that.
Oh, good.
route.
Thank you. Is the person who's going to Guatemala here?
She's not. No.
She's not. Okay. How about somebody who's going to Ireland? Would you?
I can say something.
And you're going to Ireland?
I'm going to Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Yes.
Belfast?
And about an hour south of Belfast.
And where? So tell us where you're going and what you're going to do.
The town is called Newcastle.
You can hold it, or I can hold it.
I would love to hold this mic, thank you. The town is called Newcastle, and the program is called the Green Hill YMCA. It's a church camp for all ages, youth, senior high youth, young adults, special needs adults, all walks of life can come to this outdoor camp for various adventures and outdoor activities. Personally, I'm a lifeguard certified professionally, and so they have asked me if I can lead like canoeing and kayaking and swimming, other things like that.
Wonderful. And how long are you going to be there?
It is out of the country, which would normally be a 2-year commitment, but I will only be able to be there for about 1 year.
And will you do the kayaking and those kind of things in the wintertime?
Yes, actually, the climate in Northern Ireland, it will get snow sometimes, but there's still kayaking and swimming in the winter, yeah.
And what led you to want to go to BVS and do at this time in your life?
Well, I got to a part of my life where I felt college was not agreeing with me the most, and I have been working at a church camp here in not here in Pennsylvania, but in the United States over the past few years, and it's a Church of the Brethren church camp, and with many connections to BVS as well, and so they suggested it, and I agreed, and when I found out I can go to Northern Ireland for this outdoor adventure camp, I was not going to pass up the opportunity.
Good, very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to say to the folks at home?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, we have somebody else going to Northern Ireland. Mike? This is Mike Nicolazzo, and he is also going to Northern Ireland. So tell us what you're going to do and where you'll be and Start with that.
Well, I'm going to be living and working at Kilcranny House in Northern Ireland. It's in the countryside close to Coleraine, in the almost as far north as you can get in Northern Ireland. It's a place where people of various religious and political stripes can come together to talk out their differences in a neutral setting that's pastoral and soothing. They practice organic gardening there, as well as just trying to live on a sort of a farm-like atmosphere. They try to live. I believe their motto is trying to heal the divides among people and between people and the earth. So they try to live a sustainable lifestyle, as well as providing this space for conflict resolution.
Do people come in groups who have conflicts, or how do people come to this place?
It's my understanding that people do come in groups when they have conflicts, but also people who are trying to learn about conflicts, who are trying to learn how to deal with conflicts in their daily lives. For instance, I understand that quite a number of primary school groups come to Kilcranny. They bring their children there, and they have various activities. Sometimes they plan them themselves. Sometimes we have to plan them for them. But it's primarily just a space, and anyone who's interested can come to this space.
And you'll be there for 2 years?
I believe so, yes. The BVSer has traditionally been the one volunteer there who's there for 2 years. They have volunteers from various different organizations, but they send their volunteers for 1 year each.
And how did you come to be interested in Brethren Volunteer Services at this time of your life?
Well, I first became interested in Brethren Volunteer Service in 2001. I was doing a work camp there in Washington, D.C., and one thing that they do in work camps is they sort of advertise Brethren Volunteer Service to potential recruits. And I thought at the time this was very exciting, and it sort of stuck in the back of my mind. Even when I was no longer quite as fired up, it always seemed like it was a plan there in the back of my mind. And toward the end of college, I started realizing I don't really have a plan for what to do with my philosophy degree. I mean, what does one do with one of those? And I thought, well, it would be good to take some time off and see the world. And additionally, my conscience is really impelling me on. I've run out of excuses for not volunteering.
And do you have a goal or some aspirations in mind?
My primary goal is of course, to work and to serve. But in so doing, I hope to learn skills that will make me more able to serve in the future, and more particularly, to be beneficial without necessarily being in this service framework, to become a person beneficial in my own nature. I'm thinking here of things like organic gardening, of cooking, of baking, of conflict mediation, and of generally becoming a presence for good in the world.
It sounds like this has been developing, as you say, for many years, and now it's ripe. It's time to do it.
I would agree with that. It's been a long process, but a process whose termination was more or less inevitable. I don't think I would have let myself not do BVS.
Michelle, would you like to come up? This is Michelle Cernak, and you are from where?
I'm from Nokesville, Virginia.
Say that slower.
Nokesville, Virginia.
Nokesville, Virginia.
Yes.
Never heard of it.
I go to the Manassas Church of the Brethren.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, Nokesville's a little farm town next to Manassas.
Well, I'm sure the people in Manassas and Knoxville,
Nokesville,
are happy to have you in BVS as representing their community.
Yes, I have a lot of former BVSers in my church, my pastor being one. So they were very excited.
How did you come to become a volunteer?
Well, I guess I heard about BVS quite a few years ago. I mean, I've been a member of the Church of the Brethren for only 6 years now. I grew up in the Methodist Church, and When I joined the Brethren Church, I was in my junior year of high school, and I started going to work camps, and I went to NYC the year after I graduated high school, and decided to go to Bridgewater College, which is a Brethren college, and there I met a lot of great people, and recruiters from BVS would come every year and set up a stand. And so in 2008, I sat down and had a conversation with one of these recruiters and decided that after graduation, that was where I was headed. And I didn't know where BVS would take me, but now it has been decided that I will be going to Ireland, to the south, to the Republic of Ireland in Cork, and I will be at a Larch community, which is a community for adults with different disabilities.
Is your mission going to be a 2-year assignment?
It will start out being a 1-year assignment, and at the end of 1 year, then we will have an evaluation to decide whether they would like to keep me for the second year. I am hoping for 2 years.
Do you have any personal goals, things you want to accomplish for yourself while you're on this assignment?
Well, part of the community is to be an intentional community living by the Word of God as a inclusive group. We want to show people that disability does not keep you from having a full life. And it is a great place. I will be living in a house with several core members who are the disabled members of the house. And I will be helping them with daily routines and helping them to have as full a life as possible. And I think for my little cousin, it just warms my heart to think that there might be some place like that for him in the U.S., because there are many places like that in the United States. And I think that it's just a wonderful, wonderful place, and I would like to be a part of that in any way I can.
Our next guest is Han. She's a BVS volunteer from the Netherlands. But before we hear from Han, here's a message about BVS. So a message from our sponsor, Brethren Volunteer Services.
This is a world full of options. It's like a never-ending buffet line. While all that I'm really needing is living water and the bread of life. So as I'm walking through this life, making choices, there is one thing I must never forget. This land of opportunity has one God. If I seek Him first, He'll take care of the rest. I can live like a prisoner, but all that could be. I'm living in the land of opportunity. But a heart pure and simple is a heart that stays free. Living in the land of opportunity. I'm living in the land of opportunity. So many choices, so much you could be. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Living in the land of opportunity. Yeah. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God.
And now we're back with Han, which is short for Hannah, who is from the Netherlands. And Han, you're going to where, and what are you going to do?
I'm going to North Carolina to a place an hour away from Asheville, that is in the southwest of North Carolina, and that is a place called Cooper Reese. That is a healing community for people with mental problems who want to learn to cope better with these mental problems. And if possible, return to normal life with their mental problems under control.
Very good. Is this a 1 year or a 2 year assignment?
It's 1 year assignment.
Okay. And how did you become interested in Brethren Volunteer Services?
We heard about Brethren Volunteer Services in the Netherlands via the church community that I have my background in, which is the Mennonite church community, or the Dutch version of that, the Doopsgezinden. And via them I heard about these volunteering possibilities, and for the rest I looked it up on the internet.
And what would you like to accomplish for yourself as a volunteer in the next year?
It's for me a new experience. I want to learn a lot. I've been looking at projects for people with mental problems in Europe, but I'm interested in the concept of Cooperies, because Cooperies seems to have made improvements on certain aspects of the projects that I know about in Europe. It was for me a fantastic way of going to the USA. It is for me the first time that I'm here in this country, and to be here for a full year and not travel around as a tourist but actually work somewhere as a volunteer gives me a much deeper insight in the American way of life.
I'll be working at the Cincinnati Church of the Brethren. It's a fairly new project. Last year was the first year, and there were 2 young ladies there co-coordinating the children's ministry. And for the time being, I will be the only person taking that role, but I will be living in community with 2 of the gentlemen from my unit, our unit, who are from Germany. One of them will be working at Talbert House, which is for individuals who have been incarcerated and are now trying to work back into the community. And the other one will be working at Interfaith Hospitality Network, and that is for the homeless, helping them find homes and jobs.
Alyssa, where are you from and where are you going?
I am from Columbus, Ohio, and I hope to be going to Belfast, Northern Ireland, to a placement called Quaker Cottage, which is a day center for children who are both Protestant and Catholic, and for their moms to come. And it's just kind of a safe space for the children, and I would be working with the children, and then the moms would go and dialogue.
And I understand that there is some news you're waiting for, because you have not received this assignment officially.
Yeah, I just kind of been hanging out and trusting God is knowing what the plan is. The folks who are the yearly staff at Quaker Cottage were on holiday last week when the vast majority of the other volunteers got their good news of where they're going for a year to 2 years. So we'll see.
I also understand someone else in your family is working with BVS. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. My sister Sarah started with BVS, oh my word, several years ago, and she's been with several different placements, and now she is actually the director of East Belfast Mission in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
And how close is Quaker Cottage to where your sister works?
Truth be told, that's an excellent question, and I don't have an answer for you.
But you may get to visit a little bit.
I hope so. I hope to establish as many meaningful relationships in Northern Ireland as I have in the States.
Well, that's probably a lot. Tell us what you'd like us to know about the Unit 291.
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's unique about the orientation process of BVS. Most other orientations that other organizations have are very short in comparison, 1 week or a couple days. So BVS likes to do a 3-week orientation, which enables us to get to know the volunteers better, and the volunteers to show their skills, and then hopefully match the volunteers' skills with the needs of the prospective project. So at our orientation, we spent 2 weeks in a rural setting where they got to do some work days and had some sessions on spiritual development. And then this past week, they're in Portland doing more urban type work, getting to see homelessness firsthand and doing some work in the community and for different organizations.
How are they doing?
They're doing great. It's really exciting to see 31 strangers get to know each other and form a deep community in a span of only 3 weeks.
From what I've seen, they're a great group of people.
Yeah.
I was going to say young people, but I think we're all young in spirit. I like to hope so.
Yeah.
I'm John Bay, and I'm from California. I will be going to Ohio to Hopewell, which is very similar to Cooperese, and I got introduced to BVS through my fiance's grandparents who were in the first unit. And BVS was very different in the first unit than it is now. At that time, they did peace camps and went to a whole bunch of different churches to preach peace.
All right, my name is Ryder Fry, and I'm from Manhattan, Kansas. I decided to do BVS because, well, for multiple reasons, but my mom and dad actually did BVS back in the 70s, and they always talked about it. I always remember them telling about how great of an experience it was, and it just came to a point in my life where it seemed like the right thing to do for me, and my parents suggested it, and it ended up working out. And I'll actually be working at Camp Myrtlewood near Myrtle Point, Oregon, and be just doing random stuff at the camp out there, which is really cool because it's a camp that teaches environmental stewardship, and that's kind of their main emphasis. And I've been going to school for park management and conservation for the last 3-4 years, so it'll be a good experience, I hope.
Today's program has been about BVS, Unit 291. Their orientation, their hopes and aspirations. 17 of the 31 volunteers are with us today, and you've heard from many of them where they're going, where they're from, and what they're going to do. We hope this has been an interesting program about BVS, and we hope you'll consider BVS in your plans in the future, either as a participant or as a supporter. For Brethren Voices, this is Brent Carlson. Peace.
Shall be called the friends of God. May his peace begin with me. Oh, Jesus way is the way of peace. Oh, the Jesus way is the way of peace. Oh, the Jesus way is the way of peace. When he is king, all wars will cease. May his peace begin with me.